Uh, Please take it away. The next item on the script.
Yeah, so Carolyn, if you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Wolf, Vice Chair for the People's Party. I've been part of the movement, starting with Draft Bernie way back when. And we are excited to have reached this milestone in Florida to be the first state with ballot access. So we're very, very excited about that. And we're going to be going over our needs in the state of Florida with you today and how we're going to achieve all of our goals. So we are excited to be here and excited to be with you. Next, I'd like you to hear from Elise myself.
Yes, so thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, everyone who's joined us. We are in basically a text mode to a degree for this presentation. So I do apologize if things don't go just the way we want them to as we present our information here. Like Carolyn, I've been involved since the Draft Bernie days and am so excited that we're finally here in the place that we needed to be forever and a day, and glad that you all here are joining us. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Nick. Nick, obviously, many of you know already, is our national chair. There may be some folks on this call that aren't familiar with the People's Party, and this presentation is designed for those folks as well. So Nick, if you'd just like to say hello.
Hi, everyone. Yes, my name is Nick Brana. I'm the national chair of the People's Party, and it's great to be here on what is really a special occasion that is, as the movement for a People's Party. We started in 2017 with a dream that we share with the majority of Americans of a major new party for working people that actually stands for Medicare for all, ending the wars, housing for all, getting free public college, renegotiating the social contract, and bringing it to a new level that works for everybody. The things that we're demanding as the People's Party are taken for granted in other rich countries. So here in the United States, in the richest country in the world, these are things that we absolutely deserve. And the two parties have not delivered them, and they will never deliver them, because they're owned by Wall Street, by corporate money. And that's what we're here to change. The People's Party is completely free of corporate money, and we're going to transform politics in this country over the next few years. And it's really exciting to see state parties popping up all across the country, building up their committees, organizing, and getting on the ballot even now. So it's great to be with you all. That's what we're here to do. We'll be talking a lot more about it, I know. And it's great to be here and have the prospect of actually being able to run candidates on the People's Party ballot line, which we can now do in Florida. So thanks to everyone who's felt that same frustration with these two corporate parties, to everyone who helped support the Bernie Sanders campaign. I worked on that campaign as a national political outreach coordinator. Bernie gave me the job of reaching out to the superdelegates on that campaign, and that was the last straw with the Democratic Party for me. I saw the way that the superdelegates, I was literally trying to persuade corporate lobbyists and DNC consultants to support Bernie, to eliminate their own pharma monopolies, their own media monopolies, their own big oil and gas monopolies, which they themselves govern from the DNC as consultants and as lobbyists right there. And so we don't have two political parties. We have essentially two committees of corporations in this country, and they can't even be considered separate because they work together to drag this country further into oligarchy and further into authoritarianism. And we're going to change that as the People's Party. So it's great to be with you all. Really excited to be organizing and to be here marking this milestone and celebrating with everyone. I'll pass it back to y'all in Florida.
Thank you so much, Nick, for that wonderful introduction to the People's Party, and thank you for joining us. As the agenda for today will be an introduction to the People's Party, which Nick has partially done for us. the interim People's Party platform, which we've already mildly discussed, Florida representative structure, Florida team and needs, Florida volunteer opportunities, and Florida committee options. So today, those will be the sharing, we will be sharing information about these topics. And to lead us on farther in that endeavor, I introduce you to Victor Nieto.
Okay, so we have an interim party platform that that we have adopted as the interim party platform while we wait for the national convention for the national party to actually get started. We will be functioning under the interim party platform of the People's Party. You can go to the National People's Party website to read them all our plans, all our platforms. But basically, the short of it is that many people, especially working people, agree that these fundamental principles should be representative of our core values. Our interim party platform is representative of our core values as a democratic national society. Some of these principles appeal to both Democrats, Republicans, and independents and non-party affiliated people. And as a matter of fact, non-party affiliated people right now represents almost half of the registered voters. For us here in Florida, this is the model platform. We are starting from, this is what we're starting from right now. The national platform, let me just go over my notes here.
What am I doing here?
Okay. National party formation. The national party is working with states across the nation to obtain ballot access. That's what we're doing. Florida just happens to be the first to achieve ballot status. And as all states have different rules and procedures. Many already are all set, whether it is gathering signatures or assembling members to get on the ballot. Many require a minimum number of signatures, as I said, while others, such as California, have to have a specific number of people change their party affiliation. So, that is the reality that we're facing. This is going to be a process, and we're leading it all here in Florida. So the party is the party structure. It's a representative party structure. Perhaps Elise can let us have a closer look at Florida.
Yes, thank you, Victor. So currently, the state is divided in 3 sections, which we call districts. And inside each one of those districts, they are also divided into west and east portions as well. So for example, in the north, we have both east and west identified, and as well as in each section, there are what we call hubs. And those hubs actually represent both congressional districts as well as a number of counties. And so, for example, in the north, we have an at-large district delegate who is currently Carolyn Wolf. As we move forward and get more volunteers and leaders involved in the process, we will have a representative for the Northwest and the Northeast as a delegate. And then moving forward in Central Florida for example, is the exact same thing. So in Central Florida, we have 3 specific districts in the West and 2 districts in the East. Those districts composed from district number 7 all the way to district 15. And you can see the counties that are indicated here. Now, the idea is that as we grow, that we will be transforming what we do here at the state and district level, that those same practices will indeed be incorporated into the county levels. So as we're talking about building committees and being part of committees and things like that, we'll be working as a whole, and then also be working independently in our counties, and then coming together and making decisions together. So in the South, for example, there in the West, we have 2 districts, or two hubs, and 3 in the Southeast. And again, the reason for this not only is just because they have the similar demographics, but what's more important is that these areas also flow into districts where we can rally behind folks together for people who are running for office within those congressional districts. So each part of the county, each part of the state, each part of every county, each part of every section, everyone has their own specific demographics. And quite honestly, one of the things that we're going to be looking at as we move towards our election committee, for example, is we're going to be needing to identify the issues that are relevant in each one of these areas, in addition to each one of the counties. We're also going to be needing to determine what parts of the counties, if we were to take and divide a county up, for example, the same way we divided in the state up, would we find that there are more folks in a particular section of a county that agree more to our party platform than perhaps another part of the county? These are all decisions that need to be made as we move forward, particularly as to producing people who can support candidates that we would be interested in running. So as we move forward, this arrangement here, again, will transcend down into the more local levels, but this is how we're starting out at the state level. And we're hoping that folks will indeed climb on board and get involved. And so with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Carolyn. She's going to talk a little bit about the Florida team and how it is that you can get involved in the Florida People's Party.
Well, for starters, you can fill out our volunteer form on peoplesparty.org and let us know where it is you want to participate. If you want to join a hub or create a hub or work on our social media team or Twitter team. We are currently next Wednesday going to be talking about our election committee. So there are many ways that you can join and become a part of the Florida People's Party. You can go to, I've forgotten if we have a bit.ly for it or not, at least to tell you the truth. Do we have a bit.ly just to join the Florida? So it goes directly to us?
Yeah, if you want to switch your party affiliation to Florida, it's bit.ly/ballot Florida, all in lowercase. And so once you've switched your party affiliation, then you can start becoming more involved in the other areas where we need help. And so once you do that, you should receive an automatic email that invites you to participate in a survey where you can indicate how it is that you want to participate. Are you interested in at a hub level, at a leadership level, at a local level? And what kind of committees are you willing to sit on? And it gives you the list and choices there that you can choose. And then what we would do is then follow up and hone in a little bit more on the skills that are required for that particular committee, what it is, where our holes are that we need to fill in those committees, and how it is that even if you wanted to do something small and not be quite so involved as maybe other members, you could still participate. So those are all things that would be part of conversations coming up once you fill out the membership application that you will get automatically as you change your party affiliation, and then we move forward from there.
And then
we
we-
also will be having an opportunity for folks. We have our own communications channel. Once people get into the right groove, that we can get folks plugged into so that you all can be coordinating together. But quite honestly, what we want to try to do is make sure that everyone's working together rather than in separate spheres. While there may be areas in which some folks are more dedicated in, for example, in the media channel, for example, the media committee, we might have some dedicated folks that are working within that committee in social media, but that doesn't mean that that social media is not important through all the other committees that we're working with as well. So those are the types of things that we'll be talking about and discussing more thoroughly as people do indeed become more involved. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, Carolyn, and if you could move us towards the Q&A, that would be great.
Well, I'm going to first go over team structure so people have a clear picture of what the Florida People's Party is. We have our officers and our leaders, and we'll be having committees, candidates, member volunteers, contributors, and affiliated members. Thus far, the party has officers, and the rest of us, the list is currently under construction. So the national will be helping us with candidates, and we have our first election committee meeting this coming Wednesday. So where you come in the Florida People's Party is select the People's Party as your party affiliation, share with others that you have switched, and as Elise went over the bit.ly, which is still up on the screen. Once you do that, you'll receive those other informational emails that will lead you to telling us more about you and what you'd like to do with us. So do we have, I don't see any questions in the question and answer.
Yeah, I don't think we've asked anybody yet. So we're ready for Q&A. If anyone has a question, if you would go ahead and type it in, that would be great. And then we can try to get them answered.
And in the meantime, I wasn't able to see if Zaina was able to make it here yet. I know she's on another call in another state.
So let's see what we have in the chat. Maybe that is more where people are asking their questions here. Let's see. How do I join? So we went over that. Talk more about how we get involved. We went over that. And yeah, okay. So, all right, you guys, it's your turn. You're up to answer, to put out any questions that you'd like. You would find it on the bottom of your screen, and it's called Q&A, and it has a little box there where you can click and then type in your question.
In the meantime, while we're waiting for a question, does Nick or Victor have anything they'd like to add to our webinar for today?
You're muted, Victor.
For people to go to peoplesparty.org. People's Party is just one word, .org /volunteer / sometimes when people don't put that last slash / it doesn't come up, but you'll get our platform, you'll get everything about us. And then of course, as was said before, to change your party registration or to just be a first-time registered voter, bit.ly /ballot or lower letters ballot FL. and you'll be directed to change your party, redirected to the election board, where you can change your party registration. Just wanted to emphasize that.
Okay, so since we don't have any real questions from anybody, I want to welcome
If
you
I
all
could add,
again.
Carolyn,
Sorry, Nick.
if I could add, I wanted to
Absolutely.
add, yeah, now
Go
that
ahead.
we've achieved some of the basic, organizational, now that we've achieved ballot access, organizational milestones in the state, we are, of course, as Carolyn and Elise and Victor have talked about, moving towards candidates, but to do that, it requires building up in the state to a even larger level of organization, a much larger level of organization. And so at the national party, we're helping states with organizational plans to be able to do that. And that involves, being able to plug in locally, do local coalition building. This is some of the work that you can do as volunteers. Be able to hand out swag that we have, People's Party swag, which we can distribute as well. Going to local events and participating in those, and having a presence as the People's Party, and being able to speak to people who are there and getting the word out, forming local hubs as well. So all of this is part of the activities that people are engaged in now in Florida, and people are engaged in nationally as well in state parties. And it's part of what you can do, connecting with people in the state when you join and when you connect and you start participating and going out and doing these events. So that the organizing and the action side of everything that we're doing is super important, because that's the kind of party that the Democrats and Republicans, they're never out there standing in solidarity with the kinds of causes and movements and actions that we believe in. Like the March for Medicare for All, there's 100 Democrats that have signed on as signatories for on Medicare for All, supposedly, in the House. Not one of them even supported the March for Medicare for All, which was organized for months across the country. So that goes to show how authentic the Democratic Party is in its support of any kind of progressive issue. Even, unfortunately, the progressives in the Democratic Party couldn't bring themselves to so much as tweet about it. So that's why we're doing this work as the People's Party. And that's why there's space for us locally as well as nationally to get involved in our communities, to participate in those events, in those actions, to organize in the way that people don't see the corporate parties fighting for them on the ground. That's what really matters. That's what's going to bring people in. That's what inspires people. And that's where we're going to grow. And so we've got a good start on doing that. And now when you join the Florida People's Party, when you switch your registration, you start joining us at the meetings and participating in the actions locally. Those are the kinds of things that we'll be looking to do. So I'll pass it back to you, Carolyn, and Elise and Victor.
Thanks, Nick. So we did have, since you were talking about candidates, Nick, we did have a question come in from Nelson. And he was asking whether or not we were going to be putting more emphasis on federal offices at this time. And will there be indeed candidates in 2022? And what is this criteria for running for some of those positions? Perhaps, Nick, you could answer.
Yes, I would be glad to. Yes, we do plan on having candidates in 2022 at the federal and the state level. And the criteria that we're looking for, if you go onto our website, you can actually see the process, and you can see some of the criteria for candidates. You can find this at peoplesparty.org. I believe it's under the organize tab. It's for nominate someone for candidates. So we have a nomination process that's open right now. If you know someone who you think would make a really strong candidate, or you want to nominate yourself because you think you would be much better the Democrats and the Republicans and the representation that you have in your district, in your community right now. The kinds of things that we're looking for in candidates is people who have a background in organizing, people who have been working, they have a history working in their districts, in their communities. And so they have built up relationships, they have built up a knowledge of what it is that the community needs. They've built up relationships with the organizations in the community. And so when they run as candidates, these are the people who should be representing us in the first place. Instead, in the Democrat and Republican parties, we get, corporate executives, we get people who are corporate consultants, we get lobbyists. Those are the kinds of people we get, millionaires. Congress is majority millionaire. The people who should be representing us in our communities are these kinds of people that we're looking for as the People's Party, who have been involved. They've been working with those who are homeless. They know the kinds of struggles that the community faces in that. They've been working with those who are facing hunger in the community. They've been working with those who are facing redlining. They've been working with people whose family members have been, who went off to the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. So people who are really in touch working with veterans issues in their communities. And so people who are in touch with those issues that are really affecting people, the lack of healthcare that we have in this country on a national level, the lack of single payer, which of course other countries take for granted, other wealthy countries. So those are the people who should be our representatives in the first place, because they are about service to their communities. And those are the kinds of people who we're looking for to run in the People's Party. We have working with us, Zena Day, Paula Jean Swearingen, and Sabrina Pena Young. And all of them worked at Brand New Congress for 4 years in doing the work to help elect some progressive Democrats to Congress. So the squad members, they were responsible for helping to elect them. And now they've seen that even progressives in the Democratic Party are ultimately accountable to the party's corporate leadership and cannot act in the interest of the people freely. And so that's why they're all with us now as the People's Party, and they've brought those skills from running candidates at the national level, how to do it, everything that it takes. And it is a very complex process organizationally, in terms of putting together a field plan, in terms of power mapping, in terms of knowing where to focus your organizing energy, in terms of the messaging, in terms of media, social media. So it's a very complex process, just in a single campaign, just like it is to build a party nationally. But those are the kinds of people that we're looking for. And that's the kind of expertise that we have going into our races here, because from the national perspective, as a national party, we're supporting states in drawing up those kinds of candidate plans, just like we are with the ballot access and the organizing plans. And so that's what we're looking for. And another really last important thing that I want to say is that for our candidates, there's going to be an accountability that doesn't exist with inside the Democratic and the Republican parties. So inside the Democratic Party, the platform is meaningless. I was there on Bernie's campaign in 2016 when the party passed a platform that they touted. This is the most progressive platform that the Democratic Party's ever had. And guess what happened? They immediately disregarded that platform. In fact, they passed a different platform, just totally disregarding the platform passed by the delegates a year later, called a better deal. And so it was more conservative, of course, it was more corporate. And then they didn't even adhere to that platform either. So That's not going to be the case in the People's Party. In the People's Party, we're holding our candidates accountable. And if that's going to mean making examples out of candidates who stray from the platform and who stray from the issues. And if we have to disaffiliate with those kinds of candidates and say we can no longer support them because of this as a party, then that's something that we're prepared to do. Because all of these organizations in the Democratic Party, whether it's Justice Democrats, DSA, Brand New Congress, they are unable to hold their candidates accountable. And that's why you get things like progressive Democrats not supporting the push for force the vote when they had a chance to actually get a floor vote on Medicare for all, a massive advance in the fight for universal health care as a human right in this country. That's why they didn't do it. That's why they didn't push for the $15 minimum wage. And now, thanks to pressure from us as the People's Party, they are beginning to put up a bit more of a fight, which is a good thing. But they need to be held to those kinds of things, and those structural incentives inside the Democratic Party ultimately prevent that change from happening. So those are going to be differences from our candidates, things that we're looking for in our candidates from what you've seen in the Democratic and the Republican parties. And I believe that Zaina has actually joined us now. So Zaina, I think it would probably be great if you wanted to add to that. If you wanted to introduce yourself first, I think, and then add to that kind of our plans candidate wise.
I'm Zainab Day. I apologize. I'm driving because my 12-year-old was yelling for food. She's like, "There's nothing in the fridge, Mom." So I'm going to go get her something to eat. I don't know if you guys know, but 12-year-olds eat like full basketball teams, you know? So I'm going to go get her something. So I'm on the road. I did want to I guess I'll tell you guys a little bit about my background. I am executive director here at Brand New Congress. Oh my gosh, you just mentioned that, and Nick, and I got them on my brain. At the People's Party now. I used to work at Brand New Congress as their communications director. I also worked with Justice Democrats in the past. When they were new and scrappy and getting off the ground and coming off of the Bernie campaign, and Brand New Congress believed at that time that we were going to, run independents, even progressive Republicans, progressives on the ticket, no matter what, a different kind of candidate. But I did see, as Nick pointed to, the evolution, of the progressive movement away from more and more becoming part and engrossing with liberals within the Democratic Party and within the Democratic Party itself, becoming more and more part of that machine. I never considered myself really a Democrat, and I didn't really like the Democratic Party ever. That's the truth. That's why I joined Brand New Congress in the beginning. But I also did support, I helped over 100 campaigns. Some of them were independent, some of them, one Republican progressive campaign, which is wild, I know. And then several progressive Democratic campaigns, all who took no corporate money. They weren't even a part of the party establishment. I watched how the Democratic Party establishment worked against them every turn, how they undermined any type of legislation that was built on human rights, as Nick had said. And how they actively worked against campaigns, and knowing how they actively worked against people running the ticket under their own party, I can only imagine how they're going to work against us, right? And the Republicans too. We got a lot that we have to prepare for, because we have a battle ahead of us as far as that goes, when it comes to signatures for the ballot, when it comes to our candidates getting ballot access. Florida already has some pretty harsh laws on that. I worked with Michael Hepburn. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with him. I love Michael in the state, and a few other Florida candidates as well. I remember what it took to get to just get federal candidates on the ballot. And I know locally it's not easy either. So having plans for those plans going into candidates is really important. Going in with a super strong field plan, understanding the voter demographics, understanding what it takes as far as that goes is really important. And really finding the right people. You know, I'm heartbroken. I kind of sensed and knew what was going to become of AOC. I sort of had a gut feeling about that, you know, but seeing what happened with someone like a Cori Bush broke my heart, to be honest with you. I didn't expect that from Cori. I didn't expect her to be hugging Chuck Schumer and doing the things that she's been doing and placating to the Democratic Party and making friends with Nancy Pelosi. I mean, she stood on the front lines in Ferguson. But that's why accountability is so important when it comes to the people that we're looking for and the people that we're vetting, and holding them to our tickets once they win is going to be really critical too. But the vetting process in the beginning, you know, is going to be really important for us because we want good people that really care, that understand, you know, that understand what it's like to live in poverty in Pembroke because you can't afford an apartment for, you know, $2,500 a month, like was for me when I lived in Florida. I was like, how am I going to live here? You know, a single bedroom apartment's $2,200 to $2,500 a month back in 2007 and 2008. And it's only gotten worse now. You know, people that understand what it's like in Miami, now that Miami's been dealing with the floods that we've been dealing with more and more often. You know, the people that understand that Florida is very different in the north than it is in the south. We need folks like that to understand, you know, the Puerto Rican communities and the Cuban communities, because they're such an integral part of the culture of this state. So when we're looking for these people, we can definitely, as national, be helping Florida with, you know, with the vetting process, with talking to candidates, with looking for these people that have the grit and the values and the drive, and making sure that they're running for the people and that they're entrenched in the communities and they know the communities. You know, we don't want a bunch of carpetbaggers in the People's Party, man. We want people running that are from our places, that know our people, that know our struggles. I think, you know, I'm not sure what else you guys wanted me to speak to. Definitely that on candidate recruitment. It's really important right now that folks, and I know Carolyn and Victor and Elise and others have already been saying this, but for folks to sign up and join right now, because this is a campaign. You have to build a campaign before you can run campaigns. You got to get volunteers on, you got to get people mobilized, you got to get people on, you got to get people helping with your direct actions. And this will get us to candidates. A lot of times folks want to come in to a party or an organization only during election cycles, you know, 3 or 4 weeks before the campaign. Well, at that point, we've missed opportunities to reach voters for a year. So we need to start building those infrastructures now, and we need good people in Florida to come on and hop on, sign up on the ballot in Florida, register to vote there, but also come in and volunteer your time now and soon, so that we can start building those infrastructures together to really support these races. Because as Nick said, there's so much to it. We got to have phone bankers, we got to have canvassers. In the light of COVID, we're not sure what's going to happen with campaigning. You know, we may have to think outside of the box. We need people to come in and be able to help us with that. And the more bodies and the more people that we have, the more likelihood we are going to be able to run and win, because we do want to win. We don't just want to run. We want to change the state house, because God, I've been watching this ALEC legislation, the same legislation come across, like the desks in Florida that come across. I'm from Kentucky. They come across in Kentucky, you know, that ALEC's writing, these ones that are taking away our civil liberties every day in the states and wasting our funds and refusing to, you know, give funds to things like the Violence Against Women's Act. You know, but October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We know states are actively working against that, and Florida has been, lots of people in Florida have been pushing for that forever. The ballot initiatives in Florida that we've had, you know, for more fair ballot measures and to end gerrymandering. all of this stuff we can work on if we have the bodies to work on it. So please sign up and volunteer, because Carolyn, Victor, Elise, and others in the state are awesome. Come join their team.
Thanks so much, Zaina. And just to let everyone know, I know we've got a few minutes left. I mentioned it previously, but we do indeed have a call for our elections committee this coming Wednesday. Zaina is hoping that she can make it and provide some more details into what she just described, so that we can start developing some plans of action and actual responsibilities for people to get out there in their communities. The very first thing that hits my mind is, hey, we gotta know what we're up against, right? What in every single county, in every single district, who's running, who's the incumbent, what are our chances, how much money is required, all these things. And if nobody does anything else, as far as being an ongoing member, if you would just be, for instance, giving us that data, that will save us a bunch of time, and we can hurry and start getting on these campaigns, because quite honestly, other folks are already there. People have already signed up. They're already orchestrating. And so we don't want to be a lagger here. And so any kind of help that you can give us, and including joining that meeting on Wednesday, so that we can get all our ducks in a row, would be very, very helpful. Thank you. I'm going to turn it back to you, Victor. And if you'll close us out, that would be great.
Okay, so there is another question in the question and answer part. It says, coming from Kevin Carpenter, has the People's Party trying to have existing progressive Democrats that are elected and serving in federal and state offices to change their registration to the People's Party? And I'd like to take a stab at that, answering that. Of course, we are open to anybody that wants to join us and endorse our campaign and champion our campaign. And we're known for going to people's, elected Democrats' offices and asking them and calling them out and saying, you need to do this, or you need to do that. We went to to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's office in the Bronx, and we asked her to stand up for the people that are losing their right now. They're losing their homes. They're being evicted from their apartments because of the lack of money. They can't cover the rent, the back rent and all that, and the evictions moratorium is finished. And so people, as we speak, are being evicted. And so we go to these people that are already been elected. They're supposed to be progressive Democrats, and we say, hey, the People's Party stands for stopping all the evictions right now, while we're still feeling the effects of the COVID pandemic. So this is what we do. We're open to all progressives, that want to come over and change their party registration and be active, because being active is not only changing your party affiliation, but being active in politics is what is necessary. I have an example. The day before yesterday, I got a call from a new volunteer here in Florida, and a new member. He's in the process of changing his party registration, but he did something very important. He let me know that there were 2 demonstrations in the Miami area on the question of abortion rights, and between both of them, there was over 500 people there. And I was busy with some organizational work, and I hadn't been aware of these demonstrations. He let me know about it, and we went. And I was wearing my People's Party T-shirt and carrying a sign in support of the demonstration. And I saw that there was no other party. There was no signs of the Democratic Party or Progressive Caucus or anything like that at these things. And so people, are looking for directions. They want to fight for abortion rights, for what they called, I don't know what the name, I forget what the name of they're calling it. Instead of calling for abortion rights, which is all about, they call it another name, some kind of justice. I think reproductive justice, which kind of, the organizers kind of obscure what the real purpose of this is. And so my sign was, said, abortion is a woman's right, because abortion is a human right. And so a lot of people were taking pictures of it and taking pictures of my T-shirt that said People's Party in it, and had an opportunity to talk to people about it. This is what we want to do. I believe in LA, I saw a picture of a huge demonstration. And this is what we want our members to do. And be at these things and talk to people about changing their party registration and becoming a member of the People's Party. So that's what, I hope that you do. And you'll be most welcome and needed, because we have to reach out, and that's the number one thing, the outreach committee. The whole Florida party is a big outreach committee, and we all have to do that. And I hope that you join us. So without further ado, it's 10 minutes before 5 o'clock, and if you have no further questions, I'd like you to again change your party registration, and perhaps Elise, you'd like to say a few party words.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, Victor. And I do appreciate everyone's time here. Typically, the meetings that we are planning to have in Florida are indeed going to be time sensitive. We know that everyone's time is valuable. We also know that some folks can contribute more, whether it be in time or money or other types of ways that they can plug in. We know everyone has different responsibilities that they have to take care of. In addition to trying to do some volunteer work, we understand that struggle. But at the same time, if you are willing, we indeed can find a place for you, regardless as to the amount of time, money, or effort that you have in total. So the idea is to reach out and have communications with us. Typically, our email addresses are very simple. It's Carolyn, Lyn, @peoplesparty.org, Victor @peoplesparty.org, and myself, Elise, Elise, @peoplesparty.org. We also have our website, which is currently under construction, which is florida.peoplesparty.org. We're hoping to get that more in line, but right now, rather than making everything all pretty, we have some real legwork that we need to get done right this very minute. So I'm hoping that you guys will join us on October 6th, which is a Wednesday at 8 p.m. Thank you very much for joining. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. People's Party.
People's Party.
Good night, all.
Good night.
People's Party.
Party.
Yay.